Welcome to Climate and Community, a podcast series where we discuss the connection between community media and climate action. My name is Siobhan Hull, and this podcast is supported by the SMSF Foundation, a not-for-profit organization working towards rural development and empowerment, and it is being produced under the mentorship of Ms. Pooja Murata. In recent years, climate change has increasingly been recognized as a key area of concern. In fact, taking action against climate change is the UN's 13th Sustainable Development Goal. But how is this information being communicated to average people? In this podcast series, we will interview community radio leaders and other experts to better understand the role of community media in communicating about climate change. Today we are joined by Dr. Sangeeta Pranvendra, who is a professor at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication and heads Apna Radio, which is the university's community radio. So could you start by just briefly introducing yourself and describing your role here at the community radio?
I'm Professor Dr. Sangeeta Pranvendra. I'm a professor in the radio and television department. I head the community radio, which is Apna Radio, 96.9 FM. And I'm also the course director for the Department of English Journalism.
What drew you into working with community media? What do you think is a big strength of community media?
Community media is more important because what happens with national media is that it addresses issues which are of concern to the larger community. It may not necessarily be important to that little small community which has its own concerns. Maybe for them, for a fishing community, it's more important to know when the tide is high or when the tide is low, when there is a likelihood of a storm. Now, like we have an urban community, they would want to know when jobs are coming up in companies that are around this place, when educational institutions are offering seats, what are the concessions that are coming up for students from deprived backgrounds. Every community has its own special needs, and community media is the only way to address them. Reportage is all event-based. Even today, if we see investigative stories are getting less in number. Human interest stories are even lesser in number. Women's stories are even less. Where are the voices of women? Community radio is that place. The community media is that place where women can be heard, where children can be heard, where all the weaker sections can be heard.
So do you see climate change being incorporated into community media, and do you see it being talked about in a way that's specific to the local community?
Climate change can be incorporated as a practice with the community. I come from Rajasthan, a state which has one of the rich traditions where we make a rukh bhaila. Rukh means tree, bhaila means friend. You tie a string or a cloth to the tree and that's your friend. That's your commitment that I'll take care of you. Where there has been the Khejurli movement, where Amrita Devi, along with hundreds of people, died saving a forest. The king had ordered that the forest would be cut to build a palace. They all went and they hugged the trees. And the slogan that they gave was, Sheesh kataye rukh bache, to bhi sasto jaan. That means even if you have to lose your head to save a tree, think of it as something very cheap. So those legacies are part of India. And this thing, Amrita Devi was almost 300 years old. And Bahuguna used the Chipko Andolan, and he became famous after that. He had the same Chipko Andolan, save the trees. Chipko means stick to the trees. Communities have a habit of saving the environment. So I feel communities have a lot they can give, and they have it in them. They just need to be reminded that this is what you are doing, do it. And in fact, many are still doing it.
So do you think that community media, community radio, can play a role in encouraging people to take that action, to take the step of combating climate change?
I went to the south in Tamil Nadu, and I met this lady from a community radio, There is a coastal community, and over there all the radio stations, all the fishing boats have radios tied to their masts. So as a community radio, what this radio station did was, if anybody saw a turtle or a mother turtle or some eggs, they had their toll number. They would call the radio station. They would come with the help of the forest department, put them here, over here, with numbers and dates, and then the person who informed was given a 1,000 rupee prize. And once the eggs were hatching, they would open the gates of this enclosure and the turtles would go to the sea. Oh, this is such a brilliant thing that the community radio is doing. I mean, I was most impressed.
That is a very impressive project.
Yes, it is. And that's just one part.
That's a really inspiring story. What do you think makes a program about climate change effective in reaching the local communities?
Repeated message is what's essential. You need to make them hear it again and again, maybe in different forms, maybe in the form of slogans or jingles or a conversation or an interview, or probably something that they have created and they share with us. They need to get a reinforced message, and that's what's going to make them more aware and sensitized. Then because of the climate change and the way our buildings are changing, birds are not finding places to nest. So we've done programs on with people who build artificial nests with coconut fibers.
Wow.
And they've come here, they've taught our people, we've put up some of those nests, people have taken away those nests and just told them that put it up, even if it's in your balcony, put it up, some bird is going to come there. We tell them to put water, because these are city areas, and even here, even you may feel that there is no wildlife, there's a lot of wildlife. But these are all reinforced messages that we are trying to give them. We are thinking, because COVID had created a situations where schools were closed. We are thinking of a program where we are going to get school kids to plant trees, and then those trees will be protected by them, watered by them, and we'll try to go and visit them again and again, probably in a month or two, and talk to them how they're taking care of the plant. You cannot force a message down someone's throat. It has to be very subtle. The person has to feel encouraged to do it. Just because it's a community radio, you can't just say, do this, you are a community, you have to do it. You have to make them want to do it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sangeeta, for speaking with us today. Today, we heard how community radios make programs specific to the needs of their local communities. Community radios are using their platforms to speak about climate change and teach people about solutions and behavioral changes. And communication is key in fighting against climate change. Thank you for listening to this episode of Climate and Community.